There's many things to be balanced. Most of all, you need to show that the vaccine is safe and then efficacious and have real, solid proof that it works. And so that's what we're, I think we're approaching answers like that in the next 6 months.
All right, that was the Novavax president of the big biotech concern with us earlier on this show, talking about a promising vaccine that certainly has gotten Wall Street's interest. Some would argue a little too heady interest. This is a $190 million company at the beginning of the year, and thanks to all the interest in what it's popping out now, it has a market value of more than $9 billion. But again, it's just a reminder that anything that looks potentially promising on the vaccine front, people go nuts for. You can understand. Forget about the health benefits and the market benefits. That's what everyone's looking for. It could be a big game changer. How close are we on that? Dr. Anita Gupta of Johns Hopkins University of Medicine back with us. Doctor, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
I know there's no use in playing favorites on these half-dozen drug companies that are close or working in partnership with others on a vaccine or treatment. But it really will be a game changer if and when one becomes available. In the case of Novavax, they've already got 160 million doses ready to go, thanks to a partnership with the U.S. government, the United Kingdom government. Will that do the trick? In other words, if and when something like this comes out, whether it's Novavax or someone else, how quickly do you think it gets in people's hands?
These are very, very important questions. First of all, in order to have a game changer, we need to have due diligence on the safety and efficacy, and the public will demand it. There is a high level of trust that is required on vaccines, and we hear a lot of discussion regarding vaccines. There's a lot of concern, how will we build that trust around it? So I'm an advocate for vaccination, but I certainly want to see the data before we have a broad adoption of a vaccination. But I definitely would love to see that occur. I would love to see the global adoption of a vaccination for COVID-19, but certainly the due diligence is critical. And certainly we'll need to see broad phase studies done all the way out through phase 3 clinical trials done on patients and to ensure that it's safe.
We just don't know this early go-round. What's interesting to people who are leery of vaccines, period. It's the same people who are leery of taking a flu shot. But there is a great deal of skepticism. I believe it was one poll, doctor, that showed only 1 out of 3 Americans would be intrigued enough to take it. What do you make of that?
Well, look, there are many individuals that are worried, and that's certainly, an important point. But we do know that, for example, even with the flu vaccine, that, places historically where the vaccination has been underutilized, that there has been outbreaks of the flu alone. So it's important to remember that individuals get their flu vaccine this year. That's the best prevention we have. Now, when we talk about COVID-19 and the vaccination, the jury's still out. We still need to understand how the vaccination will be used, who will get it, and certainly how effective it will be. So there's certainly a lot of research that needs to be completed. But again, the hope is there that we'll have one quickly. There's certainly a lot of companies that are working very hard to get one out there. But most importantly, right now, the flu vaccine is critically important that we get that in the hands of as many people as we can.
This growing concern that young, according to the World Health Organization, are just as likely to spread this as anyone else, and they're not bulletproof or resistant to this. Is that so?
Right. I mean, this new data that came out from JAMA and the Journal of Pediatrics, showed that children potentially have the risk of spreading to others. And we know now from the research that, they are carriers in their nasal passages, particularly young children under the age of 5. So this data is highly important and valuable to schools as we begin to reopen, but we still, know that this virus is very surprising, and we have a lot more research ahead of us. These are just early studies that are certainly contradictory. There are other studies that are certainly ongoing. but it does provide policymakers early research that can begin to help us plan. And we do now have more information in children, but we need more. We certainly need more.
And they're in that process right now. Dr. Gupta, thank you. Good seeing you again.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Dr. Anita Gupta of Johns Hopkins University.